Welcome back, y'all. It's another edition of Drill Team Hacks, and this week we're talking about how do I get my team to nationals. And it's not just nationals that we're talking about, right? We're talking about any competition, any event, any function that we really want to shoot for. That could be a regional competition. That could be a big performance. That could be how do I get to that first drill meet and just have a drill team to begin with. The answer to all those questions is the exact same. And so to start this, I want you to think about a recipe. Most of us have tried to cook something before, maybe successfully, maybe unsuccessfully, and we've pulled it up online and we've opened the cookbook, and what's the first thing you see when you pull up that recipe? It's the picture of that perfectly plated, perfectly prepared, almost too good to be true because it's a professional photograph with a professional chef. It's that picture of the final product. And we look at that and we go, wow, I'm probably not going to make it look like that the first time around, or the second, or the third, or the fourth. But we have an idea of what that end state is supposed to look like. Then we keep reading the recipe, and it gives us the materials list, the ingredients list, the things that we need, the raw ingredients and materials that we need to put all this together, and we can take that and turn it into that awesome picture. And then it gives us the steps, right? It tells us that we need to do this, this, and this in this order. Well, preparing for anything, whether it's nationals at a super high level, whether it's just getting to that first drill meet, preparing for anything requires that we take the same approach. The first thing we need to do is we need to envision and we need to have a very clear picture of what we're striving for. Now, at the national level, there's a lot of pieces at play. We have to prepare the teams to be successful in regulation, in exhibition, inspection, color guard. If it's at the masters level, we need to be thinking about that second exhibition, right? But no matter what the end state, we have to have a clear picture of what's involved, and that's going to allow us to figure out what we need. And in this case, we need enough team members to successfully field a platoon or a flight in each one of those events. We also need to make sure that we have the skills and the abilities along the way to compete successfully, whether it's in regulation or exhibition. We also need to be mindful of what are the other outside factors like fundraising. What's that final dollar amount that we need to get to, that we need to raise in order to make it to that level, right? So we put all these things in our ingredients list or our materials list, and then the question becomes, wow, how do I go from having this raw list of things that we need to accomplishing this awesome task? And the answer is backwards planning. Many people, when they're trying to go through and plan things, especially new commanders or new leaders, are thinking about, what do I do this practice, then the next, or if they're a little bit more developed, they might even be thinking, what do I need to do this month to get to this month to get to this month? And I would challenge you to think about it a little bit differently. Let's think about it from the end and go backwards to the beginning. And what does that mean? That means the first thing we need to do is identify what are the key checkpoints throughout our season that are going to help us reach that end goal, right? If we're going to nationals, maybe we need to compete successfully at the regional event leading up to it. In order to get there, we need to make sure that we're competing successfully at the local event so we feel prepared and good about walking into that regional, getting ready to qualify for that big competition at the end. And how do we get there, right? We need to make sure that our training is adequate, that we've done enough teaching and helping the new people kind of get immersed in the drill team so that they're ready to be successful at each one of those major checkpoints. And once we have that framework set up, it gets really easy to kind of fill it in backwards, right? We can go ahead and take our steps that we know need to happen. When is it logical that that exhibition routine needs to be complete? Well, we can go ahead and plug that in, and then we can use that as a checkpoint to work backwards to the beginning. And by starting with the end in mind and working back all the way to the very first day, we can start to understand that we only have a limited amount of time to accomplish a goal. If we go from day one, we have really no way of understanding whether it's going to take 30 days to get there or whether it's going to take 365 days to get there. And so the backwards planning process is really going to help us understand what do I need to do at every step along the way, and if something doesn't happen in the timeline that we wanted it to happen in, how can we adjust our schedule without disrupting our ultimate end goal of getting to that final competition, whether it's nationals or whether it's something else. So the question then is, what can I do now to start preparing for later? And the answer is this: we can start to think about it, we can start to map it out, and we can start to draw it. Right now is a great time to be networking with your other leaders, to be networking with your instructors, and to be setting a course for what is that end goal. Because if we don't have a clearly defined vision about what that end state actually looks like, and one person says getting to nationals and just being there is a great goal, and one person says, well, I want to not only be there, but I want to be competitive, well, we got to bring those folks on the same page so that we can start to understand kind of what we need to do to work backwards and plan it out. And now is a great time to get on that same page. Once you've accomplished that, we can go one step further. We can start to establish what those checkpoints are. We can be looking, and to the best of our ability in our very crazy time right now, we can kind of be guesstimating what in the past, how long has it taken to do these various things? When about in the year have these specific things kind of occurred, these specific meets or checkpoints, and we can start to kind of develop a tentative calendar. And you know what? If things continue to be crazy and they continue to be wild and something is disrupted as we get closer to the fall, that's okay, because with our backwards planning, we can make those adjustments, and we know exactly how much time we'll have left at every step along the way. So that's been your drill team hack for this week. We encourage you to try it out with something. Try it out with anything. It might not even be planning your drill team season. Maybe it's just planning on how you're going to get through the end of the semester and how you're going to accomplish your academic goals. Or maybe it's starting a new hobby or a new interest when we have the downtime to do it. Whatever it is, go ahead and try to start thinking about things from the end and then work your way back to the beginning. It's going to help you see things a little bit more clearly, and it's going to give you a really great path that's easily adjustable as you walk down it. As always, if you have any questions, if you want to suggest topics for future videos, this video came from a suggestion in the YouTube comments. Make sure that you leave those down below. Make sure that you're commenting and letting us know what you think. What are some of the things that have helped you as you've planned towards these bigger events in your team's season, or even your individual events? What are some tips and tricks that you have for someone else? And until next week, this has been your weekly edition of Drill Team Hacks.